Yes, comrades and friends, members of the mass media, and it is with immense honor, but I must also say with great sadness, that I stand here in front of you today after seeing what was once a very formidable movement, a movement that attracted thousands of intellectuals, a movement that attracted those that understood what it means to be free and what it meant for the future generations to work towards freedom. Turning now into a group of hooligans, turning now into a group of those that cannot foment those same things, principles that Solomon Mahlangu died for. Solomon Mahlangu died, and in his last words, as it's inscribed in his grave, it says, "Tell my people that I love them. Tell my people that I love them, and let my blood nourish the blood, or let my blood nourish the tree of freedom." The tree of freedom. Some IEC reached the first national elections. Therefore, this day has another significant meaning. This was a freedom of South Africa. That is something that they have forgotten. Something that they have forgotten. They have now concentrated on these gimmicks of fighting for something that we have already said we honor. And you see, there's nothing better than honoring somebody by being respectful. There's nothing more than honoring somebody by saying, "I'm going to do the right thing." Turning yourself into a hooligan, you are actually spitting and pissing on somebody's grave that you're saying you're honoring. We will stand and say, we will honor the true spirit of Solomon Mahlangu. That says the people and my people will have dignity where they are staying. My people will have equal opportunities, irrespective of what card they are carrying in their pocket. It doesn't have to be an ANC card. It doesn't have to be an EFF card. It doesn't have to be an ANC, a DA card, or a Freedom Front, or IFP, or whatever political party. It has to be a card that says, "I'm a South African first and everything else." And freedom is there that I'm going to go under equal system. And millions of South Africans, and actually those that are in our city, will not get to hear what plans we have for them. Millions of our people have been told lies that we don't care about them, that money is going to be spent only in the rich suburbs. But the truth is that millions of our money is going to go towards those communities that have water. For the longest time have been crying for electricity. Millions of our people are going to be benefiting from this budget that we want to be passing and from this message that we're bringing forward. My blood will nourish the tree that will bear the fruits of freedom. Tell my people that I love them. They must continue the fight. And we will continue the fight until every South African is living in dignity, until the people of this city are equal. Whether you're coming from Hammanskraal or whether you're coming from Olivenhoek, whether you're coming from Centurion or Waterkloof, we are all equal and we should be equal here. And we should strive to make sure that we are all equal. When preparing for such an address, it was challenging for me because I needed to ask myself, where do we begin? And I was reminded of the words of President Thabo Mbeki when he said, and I quote, "On occasions such as this, we shall perhaps start at the beginning." So let me begin. The 3rd of August 2016 was the culmination of months of odious work and a long journey to win the support of the people of Tshwane to vote for change in the political leadership. This was by no means an easy task. In fact, at times, it seemed like an impossible task. When Mr. Diza's Day was blatantly mentioned or announced as the ANC mayoral candidate in the streets of Atteridgeville, there was fire. In the streets of Mamelodi, there was fire. I then immediately asked myself, if Atteridgeville would reject such a senior member of a political party that they have supported for a very long time, who am I and what will happen when the Democratic Alliance take over? And then something dawned on me. The people were not fighting against they were not fighting against the name of Togo Didesha. They were fighting against themselves. They were fighting against corruption. They were fighting against jobs that were only reserved for a few. And that's what the people were fighting for. They were saying, we are ready to move on. We are ready to get on to the next level. The promise of Solomon Mahlangu, the promise of Tata Nelson Mandela, that indeed South Africa belongs to all who live in it, and we shall rejoice in the fruits of the economy of this country. Our people simply wanted change. They wanted change that meant less corruption, and they wanted to start seeking, they wanted to see a city that is making progress again. Change that would deliver better services and offer more employment opportunities for all the people of Tshwane, not just the small pocket of the connected elite. It is on the 3rd of August that we came with all our partners and those that vote with us on principle, that they say, Msimanga, we want to put you there so that we are able to carry the vision that we have for a better capital city. We want to put our ideological differences aside and concentrate on ensuring that a Gogo who's living in Hammanskraal will once and for all have dignity of life. We decided to put our differences aside and concentrated on ensuring that we are able to give millions of our people a meaningful life. With the formulation of our government, it was important to identify the key service delivery challenges that transcended ideologies and united those parties dedicated to improving the lives of the people of our city. This gave birth to our commitment to transforming the city and ensuring that its apparatus worked to provide our people with a life of value, a life underpinned by freedom, fairness, and opportunity. We identified that the city's finances were not being properly managed to deliver the basic services that our people so desperately needed. Specifically, we agreed that access to affordable and sustainable electricity and water supply was paramount and should be top of our priority. These are the basic elements required for our people to live a life of dignity. This was the same approach when the issue of the provision of decent housing came about. All of us agreed that we need to do each and everything in our power to ensure that those that find themselves without shelter right now, we will do whatever it takes and whatever it needs to be done so that we are able to give our people something that they can call a home of their own, and we'll unpack that in a moment. Understanding that the provision of basic services is at the apex of a collective mandate, we realize that our goals are the same despite our ideological starting points. This administration is united by a common agreement, and we will continue to have disagreements as normal. But I would like to thank our partners for their cooperation and support in bringing about the beginnings of change that our people want to see. We look forward to a robust and fruitful working relationship as we rescue the city from the throes of mismanagement and take it to a new height. At the first sitting of this very council, I was elected to lead a daunting task that we are supposed to then turn things around. A daunting task that says, irrespective of a 2 billion deficit that we had to inherit and had to start from, what is it that we are going to do so that the people can taste and feel and see that change is indeed coming on their doorstep? I got to understand that when we were campaigning, there were things that we knew, and there were things that we knew that we didn't know. But we know now that there were things that we didn't know that we didn't. We didn't know that there was a contract called PEU that costed the city billions of rand. We knew that the previous administration decided to go into an illegal contract and therefore costing the city and bleeding the city millions of rands each and every month. Money that could have gone towards ensuring that the people of Kangara will have decent electricity supply, that the people of Sitabiseng will have roads once and for all, that the people of Centurion will have the asbestos pipes removed and proper pipes being put in there. We are saying enough of those contracts that have been awarded. We need now to put in place contracts that will ensure that the most of our people will benefit from the money, not the politically connected, not those that are now seeking power by fire. We looked at contracts like the UK Music Festival, where millions of rand went towards the Nicki Minaj. Today, the same person who was crying about the Nicki Minaj concert, is the one that is saying that we cannot continue with the state of the city address. We want to say, what happened to you fighting that good fight? What happened to you saying that money could have gone towards building more RTP houses for our people? Now you have turned, because we have been promised an MMC position, you have now turned, and you are now, by hook or crook, want to see this administration failing. It's not going to happen. This administration is focused on delivering services, and we will deliver those services. We heard of the city hall, where more than 100 million rand was spent to fix the city hall. I promise you, the city hall is nowhere near 100 million rand. The city hall is nowhere near 100 million rand. But the people are now saying that we should honor Somun Mashambu their way. Their way is to allow corruption and more corruption to take place. But our way is to say we stop corruption so that money could be channeled towards proper service delivery. That will indeed honor the spirit of Solomon Maham. When faced with the challenges that seem insurmountable, it's often easier to fall into complacency. No, we did not fall into complacency. We were energized, and we had to know who we wanted to be as a city. We knew we wanted to be a city with an improved service infrastructure and maintenance to meet the demands required by our people. It was critical that we increase our the collection of revenue from the source to about 95% to provide the necessary revenue base upon which to provide better services. It is vital that we work towards a 24-hour, one-stop customer care so that our residents are not frustrated by government bureaucracy, but rather that they have a pleasant experience when receiving services and are encouraged to pay the rates and taxes and cooperate with the city in the future. Our desire is to be a responsive government that treats our residents with respect in order to build a mutual trust with our men and women who've really done. They deserve a round of applause. We want to be a city that is safe and boasting neighborhoods. Gone are and people are now just walking around with a lot of money, but we don't know how the processes have been dealt with. Without exception, we want to be a city that can provide affordable housing and social amenities closer to places of work. In instances where that is not possible, that an integrated citywide public transport system be made available. Ultimately, we want to make it easier for our residents to access opportunities and empower them to make use of those opportunities. Mindful of the magnitude of the task ahead of us, and that time was not on our side to provide better services to our people. We know we had to get going, and we had to begin. So we began. Council appointed a man in Wickets Musoro to lead the administration through some of the greatest and most precarious challenges the city has ever faced in the democratic dispensation. And he hit the ground running, and we are seeing some of the rewards of his hard work today. We have begun in earnest to stabilize government. We are looking forward to a fruitful working relationship that has already begun in earnest, and I think we can give him a round of applause. We began to labor on a workable adjustment budget, and we will continue by passing a fully funded, balanced budget that supports the IDP. The IDP has been through comprehensive public participation to ensure that it's aligned with our people's will. As we reflect and still reflect on the past financial predicaments in which our city finds itself, it is important to heed lessons that the Auditor General's financial statements offer and work tirelessly to turn our financial situation around. Not just for the sake of fixing, but to ensure that we are now able to release money towards ensuring that our people's dignity can be restored and services can be delivered to them. To deliver on these promises, to deliver on the promise that we've made our people, a number of things had to be adhered to. And in the spirit, we urge our residents and the civil society to diligently engage the IDP and the draft budget that last week went out to for public comment. An IDP and a draft budget that prioritizes the needs of our people, especially the most vulnerable of our society. Let me reiterate, our IDP and our budget is going to be biased against the poor, towards the poor of our people. Our IDP and our budget is going to make make sure that the people of Hammanskraal that has been eluded by jobs for the longest of time, that the people of Leofontein that have been eluded for service delivery for the longest of time will eventually get services. But then it doesn't mean that we stop in maintaining some of the infrastructure that we already have. And we are saying to the people of Garsfontein, we are saying to the people of Valhalla, those pipes that have been installed, that have long passed their sell-by date, will be replaced and will ensure that you get world-class service of a world-class city. And IDP, in real terms, let me start to break it down in real terms what it will mean. When I talk about an IDP and a budget that it will be aimed at ensuring that our poor will receive the services that they deserve, let me break it down to you in terms of numbers, what we mean by that. First of all, we are saying that 10,150 new meters or water meters connections will be delivered to our people. So all those informal settlements, all those houses that are now sitting without water coming into the yards, we are saying, now we are going to make sure that you get water in your yards. We are saying that we want to improve the weekly waste removal services. Gone are the days where we would be held to ransom by one contractor who's got connections with politicians that were there before, in ensuring that we, the city, will be held to ransom at millions and millions of rents every month. We are saying we are changing this around and will ensure that the people will live in dignity. Rubbish will be removed when it's supposed to be removed, on time, every day when it's supposed to be removed. We are saying that 6,500 new households will have access to sanitation. 6,500 of new sanitation facilities will be built in our areas in this financial year. We are saying also that we will have 10,400 new electricity connections. We don't want this in yoga. We are saying we need to provide electricity to our people in a fair manner, in a way that it is formalized and it's safe for them. So we are saying 10,400 new electrification connections will be done in this year. 121 kilometers of municipal stormwater drainage network will be provided this year. 13 kilometers of tarred road will be provided to communities who have never had a tarred road before. That is something that we are going to do this coming year. I am making a plea today, and I'm making a promise here today, that in this coming financial year, we are going to formalize 7 informal settlements. And this is now a project that I'm calling Project Iran. I am launching Project Iran today, and I'm saying from Monday, our officials are going to hit the ground running as we implement the Project Iran, that will see 7 informal settlements getting formalization. I am saying we are going to realize we are going to realize 104,000 new jobs in this coming year. We are saying opportunities for jobs must be created. And I will talk to you when we get to the breaking down of where those jobs will be coming from. You see, I'm not going to make a promise of 500,000 jobs when I don't know where those jobs are coming from. We are saying where those jobs are going to be coming from, and I'll tell you just in a moment. The city is also looking to attract an approximately 10.8 billion rand in investment, and the rejuvenation of our inner city will go a long way to achieving this. The inner city rejuvenation program is not designed to stifle the work of informal traders. We are not here to stifle the work of informal traders, but we want to work hand in hand with informal traders to ensure that they become contributors. Where's the other informal trader union as well, the group as well? We are saying, we want to work with you. We are not going to work against you, but we want you to work with us in taking this city forward. We can do it, and we will do it. We are saying that we want to have informal sites, or the formal sites for informal traders in our city. We are saying our informal traders also play an integral role in the economy of our city. But in saying that, I want to say to informal traders as well, it cannot be that when we are cleaning the city in the evening, the very next day there's a gogo who's sitting there peeling maize meal and leaving all those peels on the pavement. We need to work together. We are ready to work with you. We are hoping that you will work with us, and indeed will take the city of ours going forward. We are saying that for this to happen, this city has to be safer, and by ridding itself all illicit activities. Building and infrastructure had to be restored in order to attract big business and investors, and make Tshwane conducive for trade, inviting for residents and tourists. We want to make sure that our CBD become a CBD that people want to come and live in there again. We want to make sure that our CBD is a CBD that will have restaurant that you can take your children there and enjoy as much as you can enjoy going to mainland right now. And it starts with all of us working together, and we'll make sure that that happens. Many of these initiatives will be supported by a funded budget. Let me repeat. Many of these initiatives will be supported by a funded budget. We are not going to do what the previous administration did of starting projects all over the show and leaving those projects half done, where our kids have been falling into frame where people have been electrocuted because some of the projects have been left halfway. We are saying when we start our projects, we're starting our projects that we know will be able to fund and ensure that we will see them to conclusion. That is the message that we want our people to get. We also believe that the IDP highlights the fundamental, spatial and economic realities of the city of Tshwane, and will further provide a baseline upon which the current administration can work from in order to propel the city going forward. The restructured IDP will achieve sustainability, address poverty, provide dignity, and be responsible technically, fiscally, and economically. Within the Tshwane's context, the geographical areas and types of projects that are more likely to achieve these objectives will be those that address the eradication of service backlogs, spatial restructuring, and those projects. We believe that the will of our priorities, and we need our people to contribute to the running of their city. We want our people to be heard, not just during the elections, but in their day-to-day running of their homes, streets, and places of work. Madam Speaker, allow me to talk about the tariff hikes and affordability to our residents. About who was on the ground or who was on the database. It was shocking to find that people who are employees of the municipality were there. It was shocking to find that people who were earning salaries 10 times what qualifies anybody to be on the database were actually on the database. And we wanted to start cleaning that up, and it made other people unhappy because then they couldn't afford, or they couldn't now stay on a database illegally. It meant we kicking them out. And I want to say to the people of Tshwane, and you will be inserted onto the database. We also want to address the multitude of inefficiencies and the fraud that we inherited on the database. Madam Speaker, it was shocking, as I said, that non-qualifying households who are illegally receiving the indigent benefits, some of them are business people. I remember going into one house in Atteridgeville, and someone who has a cold room, you would know that a cold room is if you have a cold room, it means you are running a serious business. Someone who has a cold room was actually on the indigent database. Someone who could stop an SAB truck and offload the whole SAB truck, meaning that that person is doing well in business, was on the database. And we said it cannot be. When we have a gogo in Hammanskraal who needs to be on the database, but somebody is blocking them out, it cannot be, and we need to correct that, and we are correcting that. our goal is to work towards a list that ensures that all those who qualify for social assistance receive the assistance they deserve, while removing those from the system who have benefited unlawfully. Madam Speaker, it is also common cause that when an institution is experiencing change, there will be a lot of anxiety which requires delicate management. Achieving our goal will require us to adhere to the two guiding principles of stabilization and revitalization that will help us in delivering services better for our people. More efficient services that should be delivered to our people. These are the terms that have guided our Mayoral Committee and myself through some of the most trying times in the resuscitation of the Tshwane government's ability to deliver better services. The stabilization of this new government is the critical foundation of which to create an environment for attracting investment into our beautiful city. We were also abundantly clear that those who are leading this charge were ready to internalize the value and ethos of excellence that our city needs to make progress. This means that we had to be smart about how we use little money that we have and use that money more responsibly. Madam Speaker, as unpopular as it was, we amended the microstructure to cut down on unnecessary expenditure on a top-heavy management structure that saw institutional duplication and not actual delivery on the ground. I want to say to those that have voted with us, the fighters, I've heard you. You said that we should work towards ensuring that we have meaningful and proper and permanent employment. And this is why we have turned it around and say we don't need to have too many chiefs at the top, but let us make sure that we have people on the ground that we can upskill and make sure that we absorb and make sure that we get them ready to work. It's a process that will take a bit of time. Once it's gone through the LLF, we'll get it right and we'll ensure that we are able to employ those people that will not only be cleaners of the city, but we'll be able to employ people who will be welders, we'll be able to employ people that will be electricians, we'll be able to employ people that will be plumbers, in order for us to address services in our city and taking our city going forward. That is something that we are working towards. It was clear for the purpose of creating a leaner and cleaner machine to ensure that the framework of efficient service delivery was in place to deliver professional services to our people. We were able to recruit diligent senior management who have committed to striving for excellence and who will be performance managed and monitored on the basis of achieving our goals. This will in turn be supported by the adjustment budget we were able to pass unanimously, which will start to deal with the almost 2 billion rand deficit incurred by the previous administration. During the formulation of the adjustment budget, it became more and more clear that the former administration's management of public funds was nothing short of dismal. In preparing the adjustment budget, the Council's consideration whether it was clear that the former administration did not care at all about the betterment of the people they were elected to service. They instead elected to prioritize self-interest and vanity project. This has had real implications on the city's finances and its capabilities. By not investing in proper supply chain processes, the former administration willfully allowed for millions of rands to be looted from the Tshwane's coffers. This is most aptly evident by the checkpoints shoe polish debacle. I'm sure we all can remember that. To the tune of approximately 30 million rand. That went towards shoe polishes that we could have gotten much, much cheaper than what we did. Weak supply chain discipline also allowed for a panel to be set up circumventing due processes in Bosch City Hall renovations that will require more money to fix. As such, financially stable and viable city was the first priority in addressing the systematic problem that had given birth to so much discontentment within our communities. This includes, but is not limited to, the drug trade and the associated illicit activities that accompany it. It has also given rise to the tensions that have arisen past few months because of lack of opportunities fostered in an incapable city. It is for this reason that we have also prioritized the proliferation of the EPWP job opportunities for the people of Tshwane. Now let me talk about how we start creating jobs. Within the next financial year, the city is looking to create 23,000 EPWP job opportunities for our people to alleviate the burden of poverty. We are saying our EPWP project will also be different to how the EPWP project has been implemented. People are not going to get EPWP jobs based on the cars that they're carrying, on whether they know the city, the manager or not, or whether they know a councillor or not. is going to be on a fair process that everybody will have an opportunity to get an EPWP job. We are saying as well that our EPWP jobs as well should incorporate a sense of training in them, so that after the people have gone through the 6 months or 1 year of being in a contract with through EPWP, they have something that says, I have been trained, I can go and market myself, I'll be a better person tomorrow. That is what we want to give our people. Importantly, we will ensure that these opportunities are distributed in a fair, transparent manner, as I said, not on the basis of party political affiliation. This will be supported by numerous projects we intend to commence within the next coming financial year. These job opportunities will be supported by the building of a new fire station in Mamelodi. Let me repeat. The people of Mamelodi have cried for the longest of time to say when there's fires there, they have to wait for a fire truck to come either from Kalinen in Refilwe or to come from Silvertail. I am saying to the people of Mamelodi, come this coming financial year, you will see a building going up in Mamelodi. A new Mamelodi fire station will be built there in Mamelodi. We are saying that the creation of job opportunities will also be made possible by the 660 million rand investment in our industrial nodes, such as Waterloo, Roslyn, Kangana, and Babeleki, and other identified areas with respect to bulk infrastructure that brings work opportunities closer to the people of those areas. You remember I did say that I have investors that were coming, and I say that they are more than willing to come and invest. But when we showed them some of the infrastructure, they said, if you fix this infrastructure, we are more than willing to come and invest here, and that's how we are going to be creating those jobs. And that's how we begin to turn the city around, by investing in those areas that begin to attract investment, so that our people will have a dignified life and not depend on the skeleton and on the smaller skeletons subsidies that can and cannot come every month. We are saying we want our people to move away from social grants into a state where they are self-dependent and they can really fend for their own families. By the introduction of an open bid adjudication process, we will ensure that the business done with the city is fair and free from corruption, as part of our commitment to being an open and transparent government. And that access to work opportunities that flow from this project is equally fair, equitable and free from corruption, so that more of our people can benefit from the work being done in the city. The city believes that in making opportunities available to the largest number of people, exclusion periods for those previously employed, ranging from 1 to 3 months, have been tailored to ensure that EPWP jobs does not repeatedly benefit the same group of individuals to the exclusion of others. Significantly, the approach excludes councillors from involvement in the recruitment process to avoid the program being abused for political purposes and vote buying. We are saying councillors are not going to be involved anymore. We are tired of hearing people saying, we are saying we are giving our people contracts to say, you are an employee of the city. Whether you are politically affiliated or you're not politically affiliated, you are going to be an employee and you deserve. Significantly, the approach, as I said, will exclude councillors from the involvement. So, Madam Speaker, the fight against corruption and the provision of work for our people has long since begun. In order to get to this point, it was critically important to fully appreciate the complete and utter mess that we inherited at the hands of the former administration. The poor political leadership and financial mismanagement of the past has put considerable strain on the city's ability to function and provide the services our people not only need, but in fact deserve. Therefore, turning around the city's finances is our apex priority, so that we can deal with the infrastructure that the former administration made no provision for and allowed to suffer for years of neglect with respect to preventative infrastructure maintenance. To put this in context, a meager 4% was allocated to preventative maintenance of water infrastructure. For a metro this size, it's almost criminal, because this has real and meaningful implications to the city's ability to deal speedily with water interruptions. To address this, in part, the city has made an initial 30 million rand investment into the restoration of water infrastructure in the last 2 months, and have tendered for a 2 billion rand contract to refurbish, upgrade, and replace some of the ailing infrastructure that was neglected. The people of Rayval and going to Temba, Amanskral, Skampaning, Gone will be the days. And we are bringing that to you. We are saying to the people of Tshwane, now they've been dealing with pipes that have been best for the longest of time. We are already, in certain areas, have already completed the project since we've taken over. And we are going to make sure that those other projects are completed to make sure that you get the services that you deserve. This in real terms means that more people across the city will have reliable access to water for their everyday use. This is not a unique problem to our city, Madam Speaker, but it's also an indicative of the poor and irresponsible use of the city's money by those who preoccupy themselves with the vanity projects such as the mayor's mansion. Like I said, this was city's residents and businesses in excess of 90%, which has seen the lifting of water restrictions by the minister. However, we continue to encourage our residents to continue to use water sparingly to avoid landing up with the water scarcity in our future. So we have to continue to use water sparingly. We thank our residents for their discipline and their patience in this regard while we work in earnest to ensure that we begin to deal with the infrastructure backlog that continue to plague our city. I'm happy to announce that the MMC responsible for infrastructure, Councillor Daryl Moss, on Monday attended the project completion meeting for Tshwane water pipe replacement. The pipes in block AA and F were old asbestos cement pipes and that have long past their design life were leaking profusely. The community requested a pipe replacement project and the city was able to fit this into the overall program. The project was of an 8 months duration and was valued at about 10.8 million rand. 4,653 meters of pipe was replaced and 59 local laborers were employed. Progress has indeed been made. Madam Speaker, let me now talk about the energy and electricity. Electrification of households play an important role to the city at large. The supply of electricity to new households will improve the lives and living conditions of our communities. You don't have already connected in this coming year. A few areas that have been identified through the current leadership where new connections have been planned, the projects are underway and other projects are completed. These areas include the Nelmafias Extension 24, where 1,000 connections are done in Ward 15. In Tshwane South, Extension 19, have planned a number of 500 households that will receive electricity. Mamelodi Extension 5, 74 households will receive electricity. In Melusi, Balawati Tunnel, we are saying to them over 200 of those houses will now receive electricity once and for all. In Winterfell, we are saying 256 households will also receive electricity in the coming year. To date, more than 80% of households in the city have access to electricity. This goal is achieved through the partnership between the city and ESCOM. Although most people have access to electricity, the energy mix of the city is still not diverse. This is something that the city is working diligently to fix. The department is focusing on providing a sustainable supply of electricity and investing in bulk infrastructure and network upgrading. By achieving this goal, the city is providing an increase in access of households with electricity. Those projects include the upgrading and construction of the new primary substations and high voltage power lines. The following milestones have been achieved, and the projects include, but not limited to, the upgrading of the Eldorain substation, whereby a new substation is built and all the indoor equipment of the 11 kV switchgear control and protection panels and all the auxiliary equipment are installed and commissioned. The outdoor yard paving and fencing is completed. Working high voltage yard is in progress, with the construction of the reserve bus bar and the bus coupler already completed. The testing and commissioning of the reserve bus bar is in progress. We are also going to be installing new electricity infrastructure in Mamelodi. The people of Mamelodi have been for the longest time complaining that there is an overload on the substation that is there. And we are saying to Bona, we will ensure that every corner of this city of ours have access to safe, sustainable and affordable electricity. We are making strides. As I mentioned earlier, we and our partners in government are committed to finding new and innovative ways to make the supply of electricity sustainable and affordable for our people. In view of this, I'm happy to announce our flagship policy on embedded power generation, which promotes small-scale solar power generation by residents, whereby they have the opportunity to sell their excess power back to the city. Embedded power generation is essentially allowing small power generation by residents on small businesses for their own use. If we are able to get them those panels, they'll be able to sell that same electricity. So it's not only the people who are now that will benefit from that. Even the people who are now in an RDP house, as long as you are able to generate more electricity than you need, you will be able to make money off it, or at least offset it against the money that you will be buying electricity from in the city. And that is our way of thinking going forward. And we want to implement that. In simple terms, as I said, the generation of solar power electricity from rooftop panels during the day, and they will be able to sell that access to the city. At night, when the residents cannot generate solar power, they can purchase from the city. This is a major step in our renewable policy, power policy, and our first step in real green power development. The spare electricity generated can be used to make up during instances where we have a shortfall. This innovation mitigates both the economic impact and inconveniencing of load shedding that comes with the winter periods, and saves to the cost of billions and millions the cost of buying electricity at peak rates. We have begun to illuminate our city once again. Roads and infrastructure. A meeting was held at Laxmundi Gemen Church with MMC of Roads and Transport, Councillor Sheila Sinkobuke, as well as senior managers for the Tshwane bus services, where concerns were raised by the commuters. The commuters further indicated that they have even established a WhatsApp group to ensure that commuter communication platforms that keep them updated on the bus arrivals, etc. is available. In responding, the senior management acknowledged the shortfall and indicated that in resolving the current inconsistencies, the current bus schedule have been recently revised in order to align with the current resources available. That is the 162 shifts with effect from November 2016. This is to maintain consistency as well as to build commuter trust. TBS senior management also committed to establishing a Facebook page as requested by the commuters, as it proven to be effective means of communication. One such query received from the Facebook was from one Sbu Nunu, who's from Block T in Soshanguve, who wrote, "Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Can you kindly address the issue of tar roads in Block T, Soshanguve? This is indeed one of the apex priority in the roads and transport space, which you are seeking to address more. And I am committing to you today that the roads of Soshanguve will be dealt with once and for all." This platform not only is not only about compliments, it's not only about complaints, but also commuters have also sung praises to some of the improvements already implemented and rapid response they normally receive from the TBS when complaints are raised. The commuters singled out a single who drives 1135 shifts and who on one occasion found a laptop and managed to return it to the rightful owner who left it in the bus unattended. Thank you, Dr. Singer. We want to say it's employees like yourself who are honest and professional that really puts our service and our city at the top. Yours is an example that all the city servants should be following. A visit to Brongo Spruit was conducted where service delivery matters such as the disintegrated roads, unavailability of grader drivers, potholes, etc. were discussed at length. And site visits were conducted to have first-hand experience of the matters raised so that the meaningful solutions can be found and pursued. We also conducted a visit to Region 1 where various areas were visited to highlight the state of roads that were in terrible state and the stormwater drainage that's poorly maintained, which is the problem that we identified as needing attention to avoid people falling victim to the flood experienced late last year in Johannesburg and other parts of the province. In order to resolve the above raised issues, which are more maintenance related, the regions together with the roads and transports are now to revisit the current planned maintenance plan with the intention of revitalizing it to get alignment with the current burning issues of service delivery. MMCC Kombuke, alongside her senior management, is doing all that is possible to improve the seemingly broken down relationship with commuters and further request commuters not to hesitate when unfairly treated, so that explanation can be proven and can be provided to enhance service delivery. Come along for this journey with us as we create a mobile and efficient city. Madam Speaker,